What emotion do you see displayed on this woman's face? How about this one? And this one? If you said joy, disgust, and sadness, you're right on the money. Humans readily recognize the facial expressions associated with 6 emotions. Fear, surprise, and anger round out the group. And we recognize these expressions regardless of our age, gender, or ethnic background. It appears that we're born prepared to recognize such expressions, and that makes good sense from an evolutionary standpoint, since many of our earliest interactions are dependent upon mutual understanding of facial expression. Of course, not all forms of an expression, say a smile, are the same, nor does each convey the same meaning, and sometimes it's just hard to know what an expression means. Can machines help us to analyze facial expression? Can computers be taught to do this, and might they notice subtle changes that humans miss? Psychologist Jeffrey Cohen says yes. Cohen has a joint appointment here at the University of Pittsburgh and at Carnegie Mellon University. He's a leader in the study of facial expression, and gradually he's teaching computers to analyze facial expression. It's called automated facial expression analysis, and it might help humans in a number of places and ways. For example, at an airport, where security is an ongoing issue, automated facial analysis of passengers' expression might detect deception that a human might miss. And in stores, automated facial expression analysis could give product manufacturers valuable feedback about packaging, product appeal, or advertising.
In the past 2 weeks, have you been feeling sad, unhappy, down in the dumps?
Occasionally.
In a clinical setting, as illustrated in this demonstration, computer facial analysis might also be helpful.
What about crying or feeling like you want to cry?
Clinicians rely heavily on interviews to establish a diagnosis. The interviewee describes her behavior and emotional state.
I just normally go back to bed.
Interviews are very valuable, but adding automated facial expression analysis would provide a more objective measure of behavior, perhaps identifying an expression associated with depression.
People's expressive behavior is a very powerful way of communicating emotion. Currently, clinicians have no systematic way of using that information, and that's something that we want to provide.
But to provide such potentially helpful information, computers have to learn to do what trained humans have been doing for years. Humans can code and record what's called action units, specific muscle movements associated with one or more expressions.
This is action unit 6.
46 action units have been identified.
And 12.
Each one has to be entered.
And the mouth opening.
That's action unit 25.
All these numbers are action units. And the letters following the action units is the intensity. So I'm also scoring intensity.
It's time consuming.
In addition, when you have coders, no matter how good they are, their judgments tend to drift over time. So a group may be very reliable today, and yet a year from now may be judging behavior in a very different way.
So far, computers can accurately identify 20 of the 46 action units.
The computer is tracking motion in the area of her brows and eyes and lips, and this is to recognize action units. So this is an example of a disgust expression. And notice how when she wrinkles up her nose, that causes deep furrows on either side. And this is the computer's representation of those furrows.
How do computers stack up against human coders on 3 action units?
We compared how well the computer codes with how well the human codes. And in each case, we found that they agree quite highly.
But computers can also have problems. If a person's head moves to the side when he smiles, the computer has trouble separating the smile from the head motion. So the computer needs an assist. Enter the head tracker, high-tech software that can artificially bring the head back to a position the computer recognizes. The tracker creates an artificial cylinder around the head, as seen in the left-hand panel. Then, mathematically, the tracker estimates and stabilizes head motion so that the computer can resume its facial analysis. Will computers ever develop a level of consciousness?
Computers today are not conscious, they're not aware. There's a good chance that sometime in the future, computers will develop some kind of self-awareness, some kind of consciousness. it will be different.
The development of this technology has a ways to go, and the goal is not to have computers replace human judgment. But the interaction of man and machine may result in better decisions, greater productivity, and increased safety.